Okay, I'm not claiming to be an expert on this. This is only the third time that I'm making nylon strings. So any argument you have with me, you're probably spot on. This is how I did the first two sets that I've done. I'm doing it again for this instrument just because it's a convenient reason to make a quick little video since enough people have said, I'm having trouble making nylon strings. Now, what I'm going to use is 6-pound test monofilament fishing line. Don't ask me what is the thickness in millimeters. I don't know. It's 6-pound. I wanted to use 4-pound. I have a spool of 4-pound somewhere. I'm looking around. I'm not seeing it. I went and grabbed my 6-pound. I'm just going to use slightly fewer strands. For whatever reason, I've recently run into multiple people who will make the statement, well, I'm using this fishing line. Why doesn't it sound good? And when somebody asks, so how thick is it? Oh, it's 35-pound test or it's 40-pound test. Well, maybe because it's so much thicker than a horsehair, it doesn't behave similarly to a horsehair. I don't know. I'm not really sure. What I do know is that the instructions that I first read for this by Mr. Rauno Nieminen, whose book is not actually in here, darn it, who, if there is truly an expert on the Finnish Jouhikko that you would hold above all others, if there's one guy you go to and say, the buck stops there, or the word from on high is here, that's Rauno Nieminen. And so my method of making the strings is based on his method of making the strings, and he uses pretty fine fish line. So I chose to use pretty fine fish line. I haven't tried it with thicker stuff. I don't see a reason to because the thin stuff works pretty decently. I'm just going to set the spool on the floor, and what I'm making is the E string. I already set up a D string. So the E string, I don't know if you can see this. If I hold it against my shirt, maybe you can see it. Okay. All right. This is pretty fine line. I'm going to start wrapping it around a stick. Now this stick is 21 inches long. That's 50, let me look at my ruler, about 53 centimeters. And I've got another piece of fish line, really only because it's much stouter. It lets me do something else that's pretty important, which is to grab the loop in the middle, but we'll worry about that later. All I did here was I doubled, there, I may as well show you. Double it over to make a loop at one end, wrap that loop around, bring the two ends through the loop. That's some sort of a basic hitch that any Boy Scout should know the name of, and I was never a Boy Scout, so I don't know the name of it. Sorry. Anyway, it's dead simple. It doesn't matter to me how you tie it. I'm sure it'll all work. Now I'm going to take the end of this fine line. I'm just going to hold it there with my thumb. And I'm going to wrap 9 times around. And that's once, 2, 3, 4. I know this is like the most boring part. 5 of an already not very exciting video. 6, 7, 8, and here we go. We are 9 times around. Yay! And we just want to cut that. So I'll take a little knife and cut it. Drop the end. I'll pick that up later. All right. So this big loop that I've got of the stiffer line is there specifically because I want to be able to get it around. I'm going to just leave it here. I only need it around one side, not both, but that held it in place so I can do this one-handed. Now, I've got the hitch. The thicker line is under the fine line on this side and over on that side so that I can slide it to the end and pull tight. That's going to let me hold one end of these loops. The other end is all about to turn into fine and fluffy And we want to make sure that I'm getting all of them, so I slip the knife under, slide up, and cut there. You can use scissors if you prefer. I happen to find that the knife is just easier for me. And now I've got 9 loops, making for a total of 18 strands. Okay. Take my tailpiece, and yes, I already did one batch. 1 string's worth there. So we're going to feed these 2 ends into the tailpiece just so that I can pull the loop through. And look at that, we've got this nice loopy end there, because I can now take off that thicker fish line if I can get hold of it. My goodness. We got this nice loop. I can pass these other strands through that loop. The loop is nicely centered already, thanks to having pulled it in with that fish line. And I pull firmly, and there I have it. Now I'm going to go ahead and do one more, the A string, which is in the middle. The D string, I used a total of 10 loops. The E string, 9 loops. And for the A string, I'm going to use 15 loops all the way around the stick. And come back in the next video and you'll see how I twist it up, but it's pretty dead simple.